It's basically a signal from Attorney General Jeff Sessions that he doesn't think there's a lot there for the appointment of a special counsel. And the uranium wine scandal, whether it's a scandal or not, has been looked at repeatedly. The Republicans do seem like they want to spend a lot of time trying to impeach Hillary Clinton, but she is not our president. She is a private citizen. They're trying to distract from the special counsel's investigation, and that's what we really need to be focused on.
On the other breaking news that we had at the top of the hour of the special counsel, Robert Mueller, he's looking into information from Rick Gates, who's pled guilty, as you know, on possible collusion. Not so interested on what Paul Manafort, the former Trump campaign chairman, did, but on possible collusion. How significant is that?
That is very significant. Keep in mind that Rick Gates was also the deputy campaign manager for the Trump campaign. He could have seen and heard a lot. He also stayed on with the campaign even after Manafort left. He was in contact with a person known to be a Russian spy, and he knew to be a Russian agent. So let's see what Rick Gates says. There was also reporting today by Reuters that says the Mueller probe is looking into Russian contacts at the Republican National Convention. So it's very clear Robert Mueller is looking at the collusion issue actively.
What questions do you have right now about collusion between the alleged collusion, I should say, between the Trump campaign and the Russians?
Well, we know that George Papadopoulos had advanced knowledge that the Russians had Hillary's emails. Who else in the Trump campaign knew that? We know that George Papadopoulos was communicating with some of the highest levels of the folks at the Trump campaign. Did any of them know about Hillary Clinton's emails that the Russia had and were going to release? And did they act on that? Because if they did, then that's conspiracy, that's collusion.
As you know, Reuters is reporting that the special counsel, Robert Mueller, is also investigating Russia's role and possible influence at the 2016 Republican National Convention when the then Senator Jeff Sessions, now Attorney General, met with the Russian Ambassador Kislyak, among others. What does that tell you?
So there's been 1,000 stories on Russia. It can be quite complicated, but there are three things that are not disputed. One is that the Russians interfered with U.S. elections in 2016, and they benefited the Trump campaign. We know the Trump campaign benefited Russia at the Republican National Convention by taking out language favorable to Ukraine and unfavorable to Russia. And thanks to the free press, we now know there's been communications between the two sides. So the issue now is, was there some sort of understanding or quid pro quo between the Trump campaign and the Russians that they would mutually benefit each other?
And getting back to the Attorney General Jeff Sessions now ruling out a second special counsel, at least for now, I want you to listen to what the president's allies have been saying in recent days. Listen to this.
The chairman and I have looked real close at the FBI investigation of the Clinton email scandal, and I've come away believing that it was shoddily done, that there were conflicts of interest, that there was political bias that may have resulted in giving Clinton a pass. The Steele dossier was paid for by the Democratic Party through Fusion GPS. Mr. Steele had associates in Russia that could have easily compromised him, and we believe the FISA warrant process was abused. And the reason we want a special counsel is I think crimes may have been committed.
I call on us appointing a special counsel, a second one, to investigate the investigators.
You're supposed to give the court the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I don't think they gave them the whole truth. So this needs investigating. The only remedy is a second special counsel.
The FBI and the Department of Justice aren't going to be putting the handcuffs on themselves, so we need a second special counsel.
Sources telling us tonight that there is a very high probability that Sessions, in fact, will act and that he will appoint a second special counsel.
Well, he did not do that today. Do you believe, Congressman, the Attorney General can survive in light of all of that?
I do. I've looked at a lot of the same evidence that these Republicans are alleging, and there's just not a lot of there. In terms of the uranium one scandal, in terms of Hillary Clinton's emails, whether or not anything improper happened, it's been looked at repeatedly. And then when it comes to the FISA warrant, we know that from the Democratic memo, the Steele dossier was corroborated by multiple independent sources. That just ends the matter. So it's not clear to me why we need a special counsel to look at that matter again. I think Attorney General Sessions did absolutely the right thing.
Well, when you say it was corroborated, you don't mean all the salacious details, the allegations in there. Was that corroborated?
The parts that were used in a FISA warrant were corroborated.
But none of the salacious details in there.
That is correct. But as we sit here today, no one has actually said the Steele dossier is false. What they've said is it's salacious, and more parts of it keep getting corroborated as time goes along.
What would you do, Congressman, if the president were to fire the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions?
That would be obstruction of justice. And the only reason he'd be doing that is to try to meddle with Special Counsel Robert Mueller. That would be an act that would be violative of the rule of law. I think people would take to the streets, and I urge the president not to do it. And by the way, Senator Lindsey Graham, who you had played, also said the president should not do that as well.
And you're talking about firing Jeff Sessions or firing the Special Counsel
Correct.
Robert Mueller?
Both.
Both. Okay. Congressman Ted Lieu, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Just ahead, we'll have more on this new twist in Robert Mueller's investigation.
Whether it's a big thing, small thing, or something unexpected, PNC will be right there when you need us. Because when it comes to your finances, if you focus on today, tomorrow has a way of working itself out. PNC, make today the day.
The perfect style, the perfect look, the right price. Steinmart. Get the brands you know at prices you'll love. Steinmart. Saving is a beautiful thing.
Janice, Mom told me you bought a house. Okay. Here's Mom. You're ruining my workout. Cycling is my passion.
What the hell happened last night? It was an accident.
One of America's greatest cover-ups is now a major motion picture.
Dead body holds a lot of secrets. Those can be the difference between guilt and innocence.
Chappaquiddick is exactly what you want it to be.
We tell the truth, or at least our version of it.
Tense, scrupulous, suspenseful, relentless, and edge-of-your-seat absorbing.
This family perseveres. We have a true compass, and we follow it.
Chappaquiddick, rated PG-13, in theaters April 6th.
What does it take to make digital transformation actually happen? It takes Dell Technologies, a family of 7 technology leaders working behind the scenes to make the impossible reality. We're helping to give cars the power to read your mind from anywhere. And we're helping up to 40% of the nation's donated blood supply to be redirected to the people that need it most. Magic can't make digital transformation happen, but we can.
It's time for the Sleep Number Spring Clearance event. The dual adjustability of the Sleep Number bed allows each of you to adjust to your ideal level of firmness, comfort, and support. Your Sleep Number setting for your best sleep ever. In the morning, you'll discover the amazing effects the bed is having on your sleep quality, your sleep IQ score. And snoring? Does your bed do that? Only at a Sleep Number store, where queen mattresses start at just $8.99. And it's the